Hey guys, good evening to everyone. I suppose my voice is audible and the PDF file is visible to you. So OBS and YouTube, on both the platforms, my voice is audible and the PDF file is visible so that we can start the session. So today we are going to start our discussion on a very important topic. So now, just comment me once in the chat box that my voice is audible and the PDF file is visible so that we can start the session. Our today's topic is very much related to the current scenario, to the current situation. We are going to discuss about certain counting aspects from GST perspective. Okay. So recently we have one problem, recently we have one issue that we have the idea about the provision of law. Okay, we have the idea about certain important things which is applicable in case of GST. We also have certain idea about filing of the returns, but there is requirement that we also have the idea about the accounting aspect from GST point of view. Okay, so one can say that, sir, this session is very much important for the accountants only. No, this session is important for accountant as well as for the chartered accountant, for the tax consultant, for the professionals, because accountant is going to make the accounting in the books of accounts, but as the auditor, as a tax consultant, I am using something which that person is posted in the books of accounts, and based on that, I am going to file my returns. Okay. Based on that, I am going to file my audit report. Based on that, I am going to make my observation. Based on that, I am going to decide the applicability of various provisions of law. That is what is the point. Hence, there is requirement that, sir, we also have the idea about the accounting aspect, which is very much relevant from GST perspective. Or for that specific purpose, we have scheduled this webinar on a very important subject, that is secret of accounting principles, a technical guide from GST perspective. Okay. So in next one in next 1.5 hours, we are going to discuss very important certain issues which is there in GST from accounting perspective. What are the things we need to kept in our mind while booking certain expenditure? What are the important things we need to kept in our mind while booking the income part, expenditure part, related to balance sheet parts? Okay. So this is a complete and comprehensive webinar on all the accounting aspects which is applicable or which is important from GST perspective. Okay. So let's start our discussion, and with that, the mode of communication of this session will be Hindi and English both. Okay, we'll use both the languages. If you have any question related to Hindi or English, you just need to comment in the chat box. We'll convert it into English or Hindi as per your convenience. Okay. Second part, if you have any question, if you have any point, if you have any doubt, you just need to put in the chat box so that we can take that question. Okay. And if you are going to watch the recorded video or you are not on live, in that case also, if you have any question at that moment, you just need to put the question in the chat box and we'll provide the solution as soon as possible. Okay. And in case of live, we'll take the questions the in the session itself. Okay. Now, shall we start our discussion on this important subject? Okay. So we have around 15 to 16 points. Okay. And we discuss each and every point in a very detailed way. Okay. And that is completely from the accounting perspective only. But with the accounting perspective, we are also going to discuss the provision of law. What is the logic of that accounting principle which is here? Okay. That means we are going to read each and everything with the logics. Without logic, nothing is there. Okay. Now, first point is related to revenue recognition. Sir, we all know that revenue is the most important part in each and every law. Okay, whether it is a income tax, whether it is a GST, whether it is a custom duty, whether it is a Companies Act, what will be the law. Thing is that the revenue recognition, because government is going to collect the taxes on the revenue only. Okay. Government is getting the taxes on the revenue part. So there is requirement that the revenue recognition should be in a perfect way. Okay. So from accounting perspective, we are going to pay the GST on the sales. It is clear because my sales is my line. There are certain other add-ons are also there. Suppose there is an interest income is there is commission income is there, rent related income is there. In that case, GST will be applicable on that other income as well. But if I am talking from the comprehensive point, in that case, the more or less the sales on which I am going to pay my output tax. Hence, my sales is to be considered as my outward supply. So, the most important is that recognize that sales in my books of accounts. What are the important things which I need to kept in our mind while booking that sales in my books of accounts? Whatever will be the accounting software, whether it is a Tally, whether it is a Busy or any other SAP, whatever will be the accounting software, there is no any effect of that accounting software on the accounting principles. Okay, and the most important thing is that if I have the idea about the accounting principle, in that case, whatever will be the accounting software, I can easily maintain the books of accounts. There is no any problem. Okay, because accounting software तो वो चीज है जो 2 से 3 दिन में सीखी जा सकती है. The basic part is that how I am going to book the things in that accounting software. That is what is the important things. Okay, so in this 1.5 hour, we'll cover each and everything from that GST perspective. Okay, now read it first. Our revenue recognition. Sir, this term include all type of income which is received by the individual or firm. Sir, most important thing. Suppose when proprietorship form is there, okay, proprietorship form is dealing in the textile business. Okay, person is selling the textile related products. The sales is 1 CR rupees. Suppose that person is doing certain other business in his individual capacity. So in that case, whether GST will be applicable on personal income or not? So yes, GST will also applicable on the personal income. So we need to maintain the accounts as per the provisions. Okay. Suppose if I am receiving any rent and I have GST and I have textile business, in that case, GST will be applicable on that textile business as well as GST will be applicable on my rental income. There is no any exemption that आपका personal income has, so GST will not be charged. That is what is the point. Okay. So if there is any type of income, in that case, individual of GST will be applicable if you have the GSTN. So, ये decide हो गया कि if I have GSTN, in that case, I have to pay GST on my sales, whether it is my individual, whether it is my firm. So, we need to book that sales in the books of accounts as per the provision of law. That means we need to charge GST on my supply, whether it is a CGST, SGST. If the supply is interstate, in that case IGST will be charged, and if the supply is intrastate, in that case CGST or SGST will be charged. Now, GST will be charged on all type of income excluding financial interest and financial credit note. This is the biggest issue. Many times we are auditing the books of accounts, many times we are checking the documents. At that time we found that many people, many accountants are confused with that financial interest or financial debit note or credit note. They have a lot of, so this credit note or this discount is financial or this is trade, or what do you mean by this financial discount and what do you mean by this trade discount? That is what is the confusion which is there between the accountants. Okay, so one point is that whenever you are going to book sales in the books of accounts, GST will be applicable. Second, if there is any financial interest, sir, what do you mean by this financial interest? That means, suppose I have paid, I have given a loan, Mr. X for 50 lakh rupees, and earning an interest of rupees 1,20,000 rupees. So in that case, whether GST will be applicable on that 1,20,000 or not, that is what is the question. Now, point is that money is not to be considered under the definition of goods. Hence, the same is not to be considered as supply. Hence, whenever there is a only transaction between the money, because I have given 50 lakh rupees to Mr. X, there is no any other transaction is there. Hence, this transaction is completely in money, so that type of interest will be treated as the financial interest. And whenever there is a financial interest, in that case, you are not going to charge GST on that financial interest. That is what is the fundamental, that is what is the concept. Next, sir, what do you mean by this financial credit note or debit note? Suppose there is any discount, or in case of that particular discount, the terms related to that discount has been decided post supply. In that case, that credit or debit note should be treated as financial credit note, or in that case, GST should not be charged. Now, आप बोलोगे सर एग्जाम्पल लो ना एग्जाम्पल. So suppose 1000 units multiplied by 100, 1 लाख रुपए की सप्लाई मैंने मिस्टर को करी. ठीक है. पोस्ट सप्लाई इसने बोला कि सर आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू pay you that 1 lakh rupee because there is certain issues with your product, hence I am just going to pay you 90,000 rupees. 10,000 rupees is discount. Now point is that for that 10,000 rupees, terms has not been decided at the time of supply, time of making of the invoice. This is post supply, and this type of discount is to be treated as financial discount, and for that purposes we need to issue the financial credit or debit note. So this is one example. If there is any situation like that, in that case we need to say that this discount is to be treated as financial discount, and financial credit note and debit note should be issued. Okay, because हर चीज ईयर पे डिसाइड हो ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है. एज अ अकाउंटेंट, when I am looking my expenditure, when I am looking my income, when I am preparing the books of accounts, at that time there is requirement that I have the idea about the complete accounting principle, and to know the accounting principle there is requirement that I have the idea about the provisions of law. Okay, so first part is that if the firm is individual or a firm, whatever will be the sales, that will be treated as my outward supply, and GST will be charged. If there is any other income, that will be also covered under the definition of supply. In that case, GST will be charged, except the financial interest and the financial credit and debit note. Now, if individual has GSTN, then GST will be charged on his personal income as well, because many times we are preparing the books of accounts. At that time we are just preparing the books of accounts of the firm, we are not preparing the books of accounts for the personal account. And if there is any income, this हो गया, at the time of any litigation, department will ask GST on that personal income as well. So from that perspective we need to be very much clear that on the personal income of that entity, GST will also be charged. On the sales part, IGST, CGST, SGST charged based on the type of supply, that is interstate or intrastate. Whatever will the type of supply, GST will be charged accordingly. That is what is the concept of revenue. Is that okay? If anyone has any doubt, any question, then please raise that question in the chat box so that we can take that question as well. Now, one important point is there, that how we are going to recognize the revenue in case of government construction contract. Suppose I am a construction contractor, okay, construction contractor, and I have taken one contract related to construction of the premises for the government. In that case, government is going to make me the payment. Suppose government is paying me 10 lakh rupees per month, 20 lakh rupees per month, based on the quantum of the work. Okay, so just wait for a single second. Now, in case of construction, और कंस्ट्रक्शन कौन सा? रिलेटेड टू गवर्नमेंट प्रोमाइसेस और गवर्नमेंट रिलेटेड जो कंस्ट्रक्शन वर्क है, इन दैट केस गवर्नमेंट इज गोइंग टू डिडक्ट government is going to deduct TDS on the payment made. So one option I have, government is going to deduct the TDS on the taxable value. So I can take the same from the TDS and TCS statement, the taxable value, and on that taxable value, I can charge GST. This is the first option. Second option, whatever will be the amount credit to your bank account related to that particular government construction contract, you can suppose that amount is inclusive of GST and you can decide the taxable value after implementing the formula. Okay, suppose you have received 50 lakh rupees in the bank account. In that case, GST rate is 12%. In that case, to get the taxable value, you just need to multiply it by 100, divide by 112, so that you will get the part of the taxable value. Is that okay, sir? That is what is which is applicable in case of construction contract related to government. So the question is that how I am going to recognize the sales in case of government construction contract. So for that purposes, there is one option that I can take the taxable value from the TDS TCS statement which is generated from the GST and common portal. Second option, I can take the amount which is received in my bank account as a inclusive of GST and I can calculate the taxable value from that particular type of purpose. That is what is the thing. सो अभी तक जो फर्स्ट पॉइंट हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया दैट इज कंप्लीटली रिलेटेड टू द रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्निशन हाउ वी आर गोइंग टू बुक व्हाट इज द ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल क्रेडिट नोट एंड डेबिट नोट थर्ड वन इज स्पेशल पॉइंट दैट इज रिलेटेड टू द रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्निशन इन केस ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स ओके नाउ second point is related to expense recognition. But before moving ahead, I just want your confirmation that the first point is clear in each and every mind. Okay. The first point that is related to revenue recognition is clear for each and everyone. Please comment me in the chat box. I'm expecting reply from each and everyone. Yes, sir. Please comment. Live chat box is here. You just need to put your comment. Yes, we are receiving the reply on the OBS, but we are not receiving the reply on YouTube. This is not clear for someone. If there is any doubt, if there is any issue, then please raise the question in the chat box. We'll take that question as well. Now, second point is there that is related to expenses recognition. So, how we are going to book the expenses in our books of accounts? That is what is the question. So, expenses recognition should be completely based on the invoicing. That means whatever will be the date which is available on the invoice provided by the company, that is your subscription. You need to make the entry in your books of accounts at that particular date. Okay, whatever will be the invoice date which is maintained mentioned on that particular supplier invoice, we are the same in our books of accounts. Special care should be taken care while booking the expenditure on which reverse charge related liability is applicable. Sir, my audit will be done at the last of the financial year, that is after completion of the financial year. At that time, that is chartered accountant is going to check the books of accounts. My annual return is to be filed at the end of the or after the financial year. But as an accountant, I am booking the expenditure, I am booking the income, I am booking all other assets and liabilities. So this is responsibility in my hand that I need to book the expenditure in a very well manner. Okay. Now, for that purposes, whenever you are going to book any expenditure, you just need to ask with the chartered accountant or the GST consultant, or you can paste one list on which the reverse charge mechanism is applicable. Suppose you are going to book any freight related expenditure in the books of accounts. In that case, first you need to ask the question from yourself that GST will be applicable under reverse charge on this freight or not. The answer is yes. In that case, you need to make the accounting entry under the reverse charge mechanism so that on that freight value, automatically RCM will be charged. If there is any invoice related to legal services, advocacy services, in that case, you need to ask with the chartered accountant or the GST consultant, tax consultant, the GST RCM will be applicable or not. And if you have idea that RCM is applicable on legal services, in that case, you need to book the accounting as per the provisions of RCM. If there is any sponsorship services provided by your firm, in that case, also RCM is applicable. If there is any if there is any renting of immovable property to the government, in that case also reverse charge mechanism related provisions are applicable. So there are a list is available of 15 services and 7 goods on which RCM is applicable. So we need to be very much careful for that while booking that expenditure, that we need to make the accounting as per the provisions of law. कहीं ऐसा नहीं हो मुझे एट द एंड ऑफ फाइनेंशियल ईयर पता चल रहा है कि यार इस एक्सपेंडिचर पे तो आरसीएम में मुझे जीएसटी भरना था, बट ड्यू टू लैक ऑफ नॉलेज आई हैव नॉट पेड द जीएसटी ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर अमाउंट अंडर रिवर्स चार्ज मैकेनिज्म. So this situation will be very much dangerous because there are certain implications are also there. There are certain penal provisions are also there. So we need to be very much careful from that perspective as well. So whenever you are going to book the expenditure, first thing we need to kept in our mind is that we need to book that expenditure as per the counterparty invoice. And most important thing, the invoice number should be same. कई बार क्या होता है? Counterparty is going to provide the invoice as 01 and we are going to book at only 01. In that case, when you are going to reconcile your tax credit from your GSTR to be, you will get certain mismatch from the portal. That is what is the situation. So the first point is all the particulars from the supplier invoices to be same in our books of accounts. And second point, whenever we are going to book the expenditure at that time, we need to check that RCM is applicable on that expenditure or not. And if there is applicability of reverse charge mechanism, in that case, we need to make the accounting as per the RCM provision so that the return will be generated in a proper way. Because when you are sending your return to the chartered accountant or the GST consultant or your professional, at that time that person is only filing the return on the basis of the data provided by you. Suppose the accountant entered wrong data in the books of accounts, in that case, this will be the situation. So we need to be careful for that. So the first point is related to our income. The second point is related to our expenditure. If anyone has any question, any doubt related to these 2 points, then you are free to raise the question in the chat box. Else, I am going to take my third point. Yes, sir. Third point is related to role of closing stock. Closing stock plays a very important role in accounting from GST perspective. We need to maintain our stock according to our sales and purchase during the year. Because कई बार क्या होता है, we are going to do the very very adjustment at the end of the financial year. There are adjustment are there. We are going to make these type of adjustment at the end of the financial year, and we are going to reflect the same in our closing stock. So at that time, we need to be very much careful that our closing stock should be genuine. Okay, it should be based on our sales and purchases and opening stock. कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं हो बहुत ज्यादा उसके अंदर वेरिएशन आ रहा है, because at the time of departmental audit, at the time of litigation, they are going to ask multiple questions related to closing stock itself. So we need to be very much careful while booking that closing stock. That closing stock should be genuine. The complete inventory list should be there. Okay, complete inventory management is to be there. ITC 04, if there is any job work related activities are there, in that case, that entity has to file the ITC 04 related to job work. So we need to take care of that thing, that we need to make the accounting as per that particular aspect, that my ITC 04 can be filed in a very in smooth way. That is what is the okay. So complete inventory list should be there. That is what is the point. Now, Sir, input tax credit and vehicle reconciliation. This is the most important thing. Okay. Because many people are asking that, sir, how we can reconcile the ITC as per GSTR 2B, because there may be situation in that case I have received the invoices but counterpart is not updated the same in GSTR 2B. There may be certain situation, there is certain tax credit which is available in 2B. I have received the invoices, hence I have not booked the same in my books of accounts. Both these situations are possible. Then the question is that how we are going to reconcile these type of figures. For that purposes, this is the most important thing. We need to maintain one extra ledger, that is unclaimed ITC. Okay, suppose there is any input tax credit. Suppose we are going to take that example, and from that example, you will get the point. Suppose as per books, the input tax credit is 1 lakh rupees, but as per 2B, the ITC is only 80,000 rupees. Suppose your two parties has not filed the return, hence your 20,000 rupees ITC is not available in GSTR 2B. In that case, sir, problem is that in current month, if I am not going to claim that input tax credit, that is okay. But how I can know that next month I need to claim that input tax credit of 20,000 rupees? ये मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा? So for that purposes, you just need to transfer that 20,000 rupees to unclaimed ITC ledger. You just need to transfer this amount to unclaimed ITC ledger, so that when you will check your books of accounts next month, in that case you will found the figure in your unclaimed input tax credit ledger, and in that particular ledger you need to make the entry according to the invoices. Because suppose सचिन से आपने कोई माल खरीदा, and for that aspect the entry is 20,000 rupees. Okay, ITC, suppose the value is 1 lakh rupees and input is 20,000 rupees. Okay, so you had done IGST. Now you had transferred that amount to unclaimed GST, so that in next month when the input is reflected in your GSTR to be returned, you can easily transfer that unclaimed ITC to the IGST, so that your reconciliation will be in a proper way. Okay, you can track the status of the invoices. You can track that this invoice we had already claimed the input tax credit, and for this particular invoice we had not claimed the input tax credit. That is what is the point which we need to kept in our mind while reconciling the input tax credit of the books of accounts and of the GSTR to be written. Because, sir, implication of this thing, that means if you are not going to reconcile your ITC from your books of accounts and to be, in that case, the implication is very huge. Okay, government will say that, sir, you need to reverse your input tax credit because you had claimed the excess input tax credit, and you also need to pay the interest at the rate of 18%. That is what is the scenario. Just take one example. In April 2022, I have my ITC as per my books 2 lakh rupees. As per 2B, the ITC is 1 lakh 50,000 only. Claim that 2 lakh rupees. Okay. मैंने ये बोला कि आई एम गोइंग टू क्लेम दैट 2 लाख रुपीस, बिकॉज इफ आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू क्लेम दैट 2 लाख रुपीस, इन दैट केस देयर इज रिक्वायरमेंट टू पे द कैश एंड आई एम नॉट इन सिचुएशन टू पे द कैश. तो मैंने इसको बोला एक बार मैं 2 लाख रुपीस क्लेम कर लेता हूं और नेक्स्ट मंथ मैं जाकर के उसको रिवर्स कर दूंगा. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट मंथ में जाकर के उसको रिवर्स कर दूंगा. नेक्स्ट मंथ मैंने उस 50,000 को रिवर्स भी कर दिया. नेक्स्ट मंथ मैंने उस 50,000 को रिवर्स नहीं किया, सॉरी, आई हैव नॉट रिवर्स दैट 50,000 रुपीज इन नेक्स्ट मंथ. और मैंने ये बोला कि वो 50,000 जो लास्ट ईयर लास्ट मंथ से रिलेटेड है वो अब 2B में आ गई है और मैंने ऑलरेडी क्लेम कर ली थी. नाउ आई जस्ट नीड टू पे 1 मंथ इंटरेस्ट. मैं अच्छा टैक्स पेयर हूं. मैंने उस 50,000 रुपीज पे एट द रेट ऑफ 18% फॉर 1 मंथ जो है इंटरेस्ट का पेमेंट भी गवर्नमेंट को कर दिया. आई हैड ऑलरेडी पेड द इंटरेस्ट एट द रेट ऑफ 18% for that 50,000 rupees for 1 month. Now, in April 2024, Government has taken my case for scrutiny for financial year 22-23. Government ने बोला, Mr. Sachin, you had excess claim ITC in the month of April from 50,000 rupees. मैंने बोला, yes sir, I had claimed. I already paid interest on that excess claim of ITC of 50,000 rupees in next month. तो गवर्नमेंट बोला, okay Mr. Sachin, you had paid that interest, there is no problem with that, but in the April 2022 month you was not eligible to claim that income tax rate of that 50,000 rupees because the same was not reflected in your to be written, but you had claimed that input tax credit. So you need to reverse that input tax credit, but you had not made any reversal in next month. So Sachin, you need to reverse that 50,000 rupees now. तो मैंने बोला सर, इफ आई एम गोइंग टू रिवर्स दैट अमाउंट नाउ, इन दैट केस जो मे के अंदर मेरे टू बी में रिफ्लेक्ट हो गई, क्या मैं उसे क्लेम कर सकता हूँ? आई एम एलिजिबल टू क्लेम द क्रेडिट व्हिच इज रिफ्लेक्टेड इन माय मे 2022. तो गवर्नमेंट बोलेगी, सचिन टाइमलाइन एज पर सेक्शन 16 सबसेक्शन 4 हैज ऑलरेडी बीन लेफ्ट, सो यू आर नॉट एलिजिबल टू क्लेम द क्रेडिट May 2022. So in that situation, I need to reverse that ITC of 50,000 rupees and I am not eligible to claim that 50,000 ITC. That is what is the situation. That is what is the point which is there. And that is what is the logic. So that we need to keep in our mind that the importance of the reconciliation of books and to be is very much crucial and very much important. And the method how we are going to reconcile, for that purposes there is just one way is available, that you need to maintain one extra ledger in your books of accounts, that is unclaimed input tax credit. Whatever input tax credit which is not available on GSTR, you just need to transfer the tax credit into that unclaimed ITC ledger, so that next month when transfer GSTR to be returned, you are going to transfer the same ITC. Is that okay? This example is okay for each and everyone. This is the most important example. Hence, I am asking that this example is okay for anyone. And this is the role of your reconciliation between your input tax credit as per your books of accounts and as per your GSTR 2B. Sir, in chat box, please provide the reply. Now, one more important thing is there, that is related to reconciliation of input tax credit closing balance of the books of accounts with the GST and common portal. Sir, how that closing balance of GST will be reflected on the GST and portal and on my books of accounts? Have you any idea about that? The closing balance of input tax credit is completely based on my outward supply, on my inward supply. If the closing balance of GST of my books of accounts and GST and portal is matches, in that case there is no any issue. My sales is okay, my purchase is okay. If there is any differences, in that case there is requirement of the reconciliation. So this is my humble request to you. Whenever you are going to send the file related to GSTR 3B return to file the same, in that case you just need to compare the closing balance of GST with the books of accounts from the GST and common portal. Okay, as an accountant, as a chartered accountant, when you are going to return time, you need to compare the reconciliation between the closing balance of input tax credit from the books of accounts and from the GST and common portal. And suppose if there is any differences, in that case, just reconcile the same through writing the reasons of that differences in your working paper, so that this will be the perfect way to maintain the books. Okay, so these are the common accounting aspects. इसमें कोई भी रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है, कोई बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं है जो आज हम लोग डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. दिस इज वेरी नॉर्मल थिंग, but the point is that we are not going to consider these points, and at the time of litigation, at the time of any dispute, department is going to impose a huge penalty on us. Okay, they are asking multiple things from us. These are the very crucial points, so we need to be very much careful for that purposes. So output we had covered, input we had covered, expenditure and income we had already covered. and reconciliation of the 2B and 3B and the reconciliation of the closing balance of input tax credit from the books of accounts and from the GST and common portal done. If anyone has any question related to these points, in that case, ask the same in the chat box. Next, when you are going to recognize any fixed assets in the books of accounts, that means if there is any purchase of fixed assets at that time, when you are going to book that fixed assets, you need to be very much clear that we are going to charge the depreciation on taxable value part only. We are not going to charge the depreciation on the invoice value. Sir, take example no na. So suppose one AC amounting to 1 lakh rupees centralized MI 1 lakh rupees की कोई एसी पाएगी, GST is 18,000 rupees. In that case, you need to be very much clear that GST is to be charged on that 1 lakh rupees only. Okay, GST will not be charged on 1 lakh 18,000 rupees. GST will be charged on the taxable value only, not on the invoice value. That is what is the point which is very much important while booking the fixed assets in the books of accounts. Okay. No. This is the point related to purchase of fixed assets. If there is any sale of fixed assets, suppose there is any fixed assets, any plant machinery is there, going to sell that plant machinery, in that case, what will be the implication of GST? So for that purpose, you just need to connect with your chartered accountant, with the tax consultant, with the tax professional who is going to file your GST return. And you need to charge GST on the sale of that particular fixed assets. Suppose there is one plant and machinery and I am going to sell that plant and machinery for 50 lakh rupees. In that case, GST at the rate of 18% will be charged on that 50 lakh rupees. Okay. So you need to be very much careful that in case of fixed assets, if there is any purchase, GST will be, that means depreciation will be charged on the taxable value. If there is any reduction in the fixed assets, in that case, GST will be charged on that sale as well, based on the provisions of law. That is what is the thing we need to be very much careful. Now, many times we found that we can reconcile the GSTR to be with the books of accounts. There are multiple entries in the GSTR to be return related to bank charges, and these entries are small in quantum. 25 रुपए 50 rupees 100 rupees 70 rupees 80 rupees, this is the amount of the bank charges, and they are going to charge GST on that particular bank charges. So this is my suggestion. When you are going to download that GSTR to be written, found any bank charges related to entry, then monthly basis pay, put one consolidated entry for the bank charges in your books of accounts, so that the input tax credit as per your GSTR to be and as per your books of accounts should be reconciled. वरना होता क्या है, we are not going to take that bank charges वाली input tax credit and this amount, हम तो पहले सोचते हैं बहुत छोटा छोटा सा amount है, but if we are going to accumulate that particular amount, the input tax credit on account of that amount will also be around 2,000 5,000 rupees based on the nature of the transactions with the bank. So in that case, uh, at the end of the financial year, after in the lapse of the timeline of section 16 subsection 4, we will not be eligible to claim that input tax credit. So for that purposes, the best way is there, you just need to download the GSTR to be written, and from that GSTR to be written, whatever will be your input tax credit on account of that bank charges, you just need to make one consolidated entry and transfer that amount to your input tax credit. That is what is the important thing we need to be keep in mind while booking that expenditure related to bank charges. Okay, so that your expenditure will be booked on the monthly basis, and also your input will also be booked on the monthly basis. Okay, so your compliance will be okay and your books of accounts will be okay. Now, now one important thing is there. If anyone require this PDF file, okay, if anyone require this PDF file, then I am just sharing one WhatsApp number. You just need to comment on that WhatsApp number. We'll share you the PDF file as well. I have shared the WhatsApp number of the staff. You just need to comment on that WhatsApp number. They will WhatsApp you that particular PDF file. Okay. So if anyone require that PDF file, in that case, you just need to comment on that WhatsApp number, which already reflected in your chat box, live chat box. Now, special care for creditors. Sir, you also need to maintain the creditors ledger as a accountant, as a tax consultant. You also need to check the creditors, because if there is any pending amount to the creditor more than 180 days, in that case, GST input tax credit will not be available for that particular amount. Okay. Suppose there is an outstanding balance of 1 lakh rupees of a particular person. GST on that amount is 18,000 rupees, and this amount is outstanding more than 180 days. In that case, you need to reverse the tax credit rupees 18,000 rupees. That is what is the thing. So whenever you are going to book the accounting, you just need to check on quarterly basis that there is any creditor which is more than 180 days or not. If there is any creditor which is more than 180 days, in that case you need to ensure that GST has already been reversed. And if there is any partial amount is due, in that case also you need to ensure that the partial amount related input tax credit has already been reversed. So that is what is the important thing. We need to be very much careful from the creator's point of view. Now, there are certain items are also available on which GST will not be applicable. Okay, this is just for your general knowledge. Okay, because I know that everyone has idea that GST will be applicable on this particular thing and GST will not be applicable on this particular thing. You need to check salary, wages, water, electricity and 5 petroleum product. इन चीजों के ऊपर GST will not be applicable. That means there is no applicability of GST on these type of products. So whenever you are going to book these type of expenditure, at that time there is no application of the GST. Now, there are certain special provisions are there for certain special industries. Okay. Now, petrol pump, if you are going to maintain the books of accounts of the petrol pump, in that case we know that GST will not be applicable on many petroleum products. Okay, there is no GST on the petrol and diesel, so you need to book the same in non GST head. Okay. But if there is any lube sales, in that case, GST will be applicable at the rate of 18%. If there is any AMC account maintenance charges is received, या फिर if there is any ATM rent is received, in that case, GST will be applicable on that ATM rent. Okay, so you need to be careful from that particular industry perspective as well. Now, construction. In case of construction, I have already discussed that in case of construction, there is requirement, sir, in case of construction, there is requirement that you need to recognize your revenue based on the TDS and TCS credit received or based on the amount which is credited in the books of accounts. In case of service sector industry, there is requirement that you need to charge the GST on the advances. If there is any receipt of the advances, in that case also GST will be charged on that advances. So you need to book that particular industry, or you need to maintain the accounts as per the norms of that particular industry. In case of manufacturing industry, there is requirement that you need to maintain the complete inventory. You need to maintain the data related to normal loss and abnormal loss. Okay, there is requirement to know the manufacturing process so that you can make the accounting as per the industry norms. Okay, one more point is there. If there is any export, in that case also you need to be very much careful while booking the accounting, because there are two type of exports are there, with pay and without pay. Okay. In case of with pay, you need to charge GST on the supply. In case of without pay, there is no requirement to charge GST on that particular thing. And in that case, you need to be very much careful if there is any with pay export. In that case, you need to be very much careful that your outward supply as per your GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 should be same. Because if there is any difference, in that case, your refund will not be automatically credited to your bank account. That is what is the scenario. And if the refund export is without pay, in that case, you need to book your purchase accordingly. So that whenever you are going to file the refund application, in that case, all the documents are with you. all the reconciliations with you. So, as an accountant, because session is specifically to the accounting aspect, that is for accountant, the professional tax consultant. So when we are going to maintaining the books of accounts at that time, this is the pillar, this is the base of the accounting. So this is the base of the GST law. This is the base of the our business. That means so we need to be very much careful while looking each and every expenditure, each and every income. And before starting the accounting or before starting the particular thing, there is requirement that we need to have the idea about the complete manufacturing, complete nature of that particular industry, so that we can maintain the books of accounts accordingly. Now, next point, advance received in case of service sector industry already covered, sir. If there is any advance in case of service sector industry, in that case there is requirement that GST should be charged on that advances. So we need to be very much careful for that. And also there is requirement that, sir, in case of service sector industry, suppose I am providing my consultancy services, okay, and I am charging 1 lakh rupees. 30,000 rupees company has given me advance in the month of April 2023, and September 2023 will be the final invoicing month, and in that case, company is going to give me 70,000 rupees, and I'm going to providing the invoice for 1 lakh rupees. Okay. In that case, you need to book that 30,000 rupees in the books of accounts and pay the GST. So you need to maintain the counting as per that particular thing. Okay. I need to issue receipt voucher, and based on that receipt voucher, I need to pay the GST in case of advances. And at the time of final invoicing, I am just going to pay the GST on that 70,000 rupees. Okay. So we need to be very much careful that my advances and my other amount is to be booked in the books of accounts in a very well way. Okay. So that I can know the things. Next point, role of place of supply and GSTN match. Sir, क्या आप लोग मुझे कमेंट करके बताओगे क्या देयर इज एनी इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई एंड जीएसटीएन? व्हाट इज द लिंकेज ऑफ प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई एंड जीएसटीएन? चलो मैं एक एग्जांपल शेयर करता हूं. सपोज आई एम फ्रॉम राजस्थान. आई एम फ्रॉम राजस्थान एंड आई हैव बॉट one particular product from Gujarat. Yeah, suppose I am from Rajasthan and I am selling a particular product to Gujarat. Okay, I'm selling the particular product from Gujarat. So the GSTN will be starting from 24. Okay, and place of supply will be Gujarat. Place of supply will be Gujarat. GSTN will be 24. यहाँ तक तो सब कुछ ठीक है. Suppose while maintaining the books of accounts and while transferring the entry in the books of accounts, I have used the GSTN as 24. But due to oversight, I have selected the place of supply as Rajasthan. Because this situation, कई सारे केसेस में हमको ये वाली सिचुएशन मिली है. We found this particular type of situation in many cases. So this example is required. We had covered this particular point in this particular webinar. Okay, that is what is the point. Now, place of supply is Rajasthan. Selected due to oversight. GSTN is correct. Okay. So उससे हुआ क्या? Your GSTR one is perfect. काउंटर पार्ट को वहां पे रिफ्लेक्ट हो जाएगी. There is no problem. And on your GSTN common, when you will put the 24, in that case, that portal will take IGST. That portal will not going to take CGST or SGST. And if there is any issue, in that case, your chartered accountant or your tax consultant will remove that issue and that person will pay IGST. But if the same is selected in your books of accounts as Rajasthan, in that case, in your books of accounts, this will show the liability under the head of CGST and SGST. Because GSTN paper, GSTN portal, the liability will be decided based on the GST number. So IGSTN paid. So whenever you are comparing with the GST and common portal, there is difference showing in the IGST, CGST, SGST due to entry adjustment. Although this is just due to entry in the books of accounts. This is perfect. Your GST and common portal is perfect. The data provided by you on the GST and common portal is perfect. But there is issue with the place of supply. in your books of accounts. So this is my humble request to you. Whenever you are going to booking any sales or purchase in your books of accounts, select place of supply very carefully, because GSTN तो we are going to do in a perfect way. प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई सेलेक्ट करते टाइम क्या होता है, दिमाग में चलता होता है कि मैं जहां का हूं, मेरे दिमाग में वही चीज फीड होती है, सो आई एम गोइंग टू सेलेक्ट द राजस्थान voices, and due to that there are certain huge implications are there when you are going to reconcile the things from your books of accounts and from your GSTN common portal data. Okay, so that is what is the thing. This is the main role of the place of supply in GSTN. Okay, most probably this example is clear for each and everyone. Expecting reply from each and everyone that this point is clear. And also, I have shared the number of the staff, so you just need to comment over that particular WhatsApp number and you will receive the PDF file. Okay, if you require. Now, counting of TDS and TCS credit. If that particular supplier, means if I am dealing in the e-commerce operator, in that case, that particular operator is going to get the TDS and TCS as well. If there is any government construction in that case, also that particular authority is going to deduct the TDS, and the same will be reflected in my GSTN common portal, and I am going to file the TDS credit and TCS credit statement. Okay, and when I am filing the same, I will receive the cash in my electronic cash ledger. So in that case, you just need to check that TDS credit and TCS credit statement on quarterly or half yearly basis, and you need to book that particular thing in your books of accounts as well. Because many times क्या होता है, we are finding that particular we are finding that many sales purchase, we are not filing the entries related to TDS and TCS credit received in our books of accounts. And in that case, after audit, because after income tax audit, we are going to file our annual return. And there is certain issues related to that TS and TCS credit related input tax credit. In that case, this situation will be there. So we need to be very much careful for that. If your industry has any TDS or TCS credit received, in that case, check the same from the GST and common portal and book that TDS TCS credit in your books of accounts. Okay, you just need to transfer that amount and you just need to enhance that amount in your electronic cash ledger, so that whenever there is any cash liability you need to pay through your bank account, in that case you just need to adjust the same with your cash ledger on GSTN portal as well as in your books of accounts, so that the amount of cash ledger will be same on your GSTN common portal and same in your books of accounts. That is what is the scenario we need to be keeping in mind while booking that TDS and TCS credit related. Now, cancellation of invoice. Sir, if there is any cancellation of invoice, suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I have cancelled the invoice number 8. In that case, whatever will be the accounting software you are going to use, you just need to maintain the record of the cancellation of the invoices as well. There are multiple softwares are there, they are automatically keep the data related to cancellation of invoices or amendment of the invoices, but you also need to maintain, or you also need to verify that your accounting software is capable to maintain the data related to cancellation and amendment. And if your accounting software is not capable for that, in that case you need to connect with the accounting software authority and you need to communicate the issue to the same that sir, we require the cancellation and the amendment related information in our accounting software itself. Okay, that is what is the thing we need to ensure. Now, next point is there, valuation. Sir, we are to charge the GST on the outward supply. Okay, that person is going to charge the GST on the outward supply. Now the point is that the outward supply should be decided in a perfect way. There is no loophole by deciding that particular taxable value or value of supply. Because many times we found that in case of litigation, at the time of litigation, they is going to ask the question on account of the valuation part. They have to raise the demand on account of that valuation part. When we had made the perfect accounting, when we had filed the annual return, when we had done the audit, if that department is going to ask the question on account of that valuation, in that case, this is not a good situation. Okay. So whenever you are going to book a particular invoice, in that case you just need to confirm that all the expenditure related to that particular supply, whether it is a freight, whether it is a loading, unloading, whether it is a commission related expenditure, whatever will be the expenditure you are going to make on for that particular supply, that should be the part of your value of supply, that should be the taxable value, because your transaction value will be treated as value of supply if buyer and supplier are not the related party and price is the sole consideration. And if you are receiving the amount for loading, unloading, the commission, the freight, the discount, in that case, all the things are adjusted with the taxable value and GST should be charged on the final taxable value. That is what is the important thing. We need to be very much careful while booking that particular invoice. Okay, because in total GST, there are only four aspects are there. One is place of supply, another is time of supply, third one is value of supply, and fourth is input tax. If you are going to maintain the books of accounts based on these four pillars, in that case your accounting will always be perfect from your GST aspect. There is no any question on that. Okay, so whenever you are going to maintain your books of accounts, just maintain these four things in your mind, that my place of supply should be correct, time of supply should be correct, my value of supply should be correct, and whatever amount of input tax credit I'm going to claim, that is perfect. If these four things are perfect, your accounting will be definitely perfect. Okay, now, sir, what is the importance of this time of supply? आपने बोल तो दिया. What is the importance of this time of supply? Sir, suppose I have bought certain goods from Maharashtra. Okay, it's in Rajasthan. Invoice date will be 30th November 2023. Is that possible that there is any goods which I bought from Maharashtra on 30th November and the goods is received on the same day, that is 30th November? This is not possible. Okay. So whenever you are going to maintain the books of accounts, whenever you are going to transferring the entries to the books of accounts related to your purchase, in that case, you just need to ensure that if there is any invoice on the last day of month, in that case, you need to confirm that that goods has you had that goods has received or not. If you had not received the goods, in that case, you are not going to claim that input tax credit in the November month. When you will receive that goods, suppose you are going to receive the goods in the month of December, in that case you will receive that you will receive that particular input tax credit in the December month only. So you need to be very much careful for that. If there is any entry of the last day of month, if there is any invoice on the last day of month, in that case you need to confirm that that goods has already been received or not. And if the goods has not been received, in that case you are not going to claim that particular type of input tax credit, because the same is blocked under section 16 subsection 2. There is one specific mandatory condition is there, that without receiving the goods you are not eligible to claim the input tax credit. At the time of litigation, department will take the entries of the last day of your month and they will ask you, sir, you have received the goods. बोलोगे नहीं, but invoice के ऊपर ये date है. तो बोलेंगे सर, section 16 subsection 2 की conditions fulfill नहीं हुई, so you are not eligible to claim the input tax credit and you need to reverse the same. और उस टाइम अगर आप रिवर्स करोगे और आप बोलोगे दिसंबर में मेरे को क्लेम कर लूं, डिपार्टमेंट बोलेगा सर सेक्शन 16 सबसेक्शन 4 की टाइमलाइन गई, यू आर नॉट एलिजिबल टू क्लेम, you need to reverse, but you are not going to claim in December month. That is what is the situation. This particular complete example we had already discussed, so I am not going to repeat that particular example. Okay. So this is the importance of the entry or the invoices which is related to the last day of the month. And this is the importance of our time of supply. Now, There are some other important points are also there, and we are going to discuss on those important points as well in a very brief way. Okay. Now, just 5 to 7 10 minutes will complete this particular webinar. If you have any question, if you have any point, if you have any doubt, in that case I'm just expecting that please comment the same in the chat box so that we can take that question. And in future, if you have any question related to that particular topic, chat box is there. You just need to comment your question in the chat box. Will provide you a reply as soon as possible. Okay. For all those persons who are going to watch these videos in a recorded way, in that case they may comment with me, or my WhatsApp number will share the WhatsApp. Okay, so that team will connect and team will provide you the solution. Now, goods purchased for personal purpose. If there is any goods you had bought for your personal purpose, in that case, input tax credit is not allowed. So whenever you are going to transfer entry in the books of accounts, and same into drawings and all those things, which is the accounting aspect from income tax perspective. But if there is any goods which you had bought, or if there is any services which you had bought for your personal purposes, in that case the input state is not allowed. When you are going to invoice in your books of accounts, you just need to transfer that input tax credit as ineligible tax credit. Next, vehicle get input tax credit if there is any ITC. If you had bought any vehicle during the financial year, then you know very well that input tax credit is not allowed. In that case, also you need to select in your accounting software that this ITC is ineligible. And when you are going to select as ineligible, in that case, they will ask under which section that input tax credit is ineligible. So you need to select section 17, subsection 5. That is what is the way we need to follow. Because sir, आप सोचो ना, there is one mechanism is there, garbage in, garbage out. If you are going to provide the, if you are going to complete entries in the books of accounts, if you are going to transfer the entries as per the provision of law, in that case all the reports generated from your accounting software will be perfect, your return will be perfect, your audit will be perfect, and your assessment and scrutiny will be perfect, and there is no any litigation. That is what is the result of your perfect accounting, because this is the base. Your each and everything is completely based on your accounting only. Now, whenever you are going to transfer the, whenever you are going to maintaining the entries related to purchase, they are asking this is input service capital goods. कई बार अकाउंटिंग करते समय हम लोग बहुत जल्दी में रहते हैं, वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू सेलेक्ट इनपुट सर्विस एंड कैपिटल गुड्स. In case of any litigation, or at the time of filing the annual return, or at the time of filing the income tax audit report, there are certain situations in which we require the classification of input service and capital goods. But you had not made that classification while doing the accounting, so that report will not be generated in a perfect way. So this is my humble request to you. Whenever you are going to book any purchase, you just need to confirm the nature of that purchase. That purchase is input service, capital goods. That input tax credit is eligible or ineligible. So you need to check the same, and you need to transfer the same in the respective head, so that the report generated from your accounting software will be perfect, and the data you are going to put in the accounting software will also be perfect. Now, rate wise input and output head should be created. You can share that ledger should be created. Always, if your industry is dealing in multiple rates, 6%, 12%, 18%, okay, in that case, you need to confirm the rate wise ledgers are there, so that whenever you are going to prepare rate-wise summary for filing the annual return or for any litigation, in that case, if there is any different heads are there, rate-wise head are there, rate-wise ledgers are there, you can easily generate the rate-wise summary. Otherwise, you will not be in situation to generate the rate-wise summary. That is what is the reason that we need to put the same. Valuation of closing stock we had already discussed. Treatment of exempted supply. If your industry is dealing in exempted supply, in that case, you just need to select the head exempted, or you need to select the head taxable, so that whenever you are going to generate the report, your exempted supply should be shown separately, your taxable supply should be shown separately, so that the complete report will be there. Because we all know that as per rule number 42 of CGST rules, if the particular industry is dealing in taxable as well as exempted goods. In that case, there is requirement of reversal of input tax credit as per rule number 42. But if there is no any bifurcation of your sales from exempted or taxable in your accounting software, in that case, this will be, be the situation. In that case, we need to face troubles. Okay. So to remove the hardship, there is requirement that we need to select the supply type. That this is my taxable supply, this is exempted supply. Without GST, expenditure should be reported separately. We had already covered that salaries there, wages are there, electricity, water related expenditure are there. Trade interest related ledger should be maintained separately. Many times when we are going to booking the expenditure or income related to interest, we are just going to merge the financial interest and trade interest. Okay, the definition of financial interest we had already covered, and trade interest is due to your trade. If you had received any interest or if you had any paid any interest due to your trade, in that case, that interest will be treated as trade interest. So there are two separate ledgers required. One is related to paid interest, another is related to financial interest. So that in case of litigation or departmental audit, we can easily provide the figure that this is of my trade interest and we have paid the GST on that particular amount. And this is my financial interest. There is no any implication GST on this particular financial interest. That is what is the point. The same will be applicable in case of discount. You need to maintain two separate ledger. One is for financial discount, another is for trade discount. The definition of financial and trade discount we have already covered. So these are the points which we had covered in our today's webinar. Okay. So we had started our discussion from our revenue recognition. We had covered our expenditure, closing stock, the reconciliation of tax credit of books of accounts and the GSTR to the reconciliation of input tax credit as per GST and common portal and as per the books of accounts, the recognition of the fixed assets and the sales of fixed assets, the availability of the GST on the bank charges, क्रेडिटर्स के केस में हमको क्या ध्यान में रखना है, स्पेशल अकाउंटिंग प्रिंसिपल्स फॉर सर्टेन स्पेसिफिक इंडस्ट्रीज, what is the treatment of the advances in case of service sector industry, role of place of supply and GST and mismatch एक बहुत छोटी सी चीज है बट उसका effect, how we are going to book the TDS and TCS credit, how we are going to adjust the same while paying the cash from the GST and common regarding cancellation and amendment of the invoices, valuation and time of supply, certain points in this webinar. So this webinar is completely based on the accounting principle from the GSTN perspective. That means what is important thing which we need to kept in our mind while booking the entries, the sales purchase, things we need to keep in our mind from GST perspective. Okay, so we had covered each and everything related to perspective. If you have a question, you are free to raise the same. Now any question is pending, then we are going to sign off for our today's webinar. And also, I have already shared the WhatsApp number. If you require that PDF file, you just need to comment on that WhatsApp number. Team will provide you that PDF file. And if you have any question, any query in future related to GST, in that case, also you can connect over that WhatsApp number. This facility is available. Okay. WhatsApp number is available in the live chat box. We'll also put that WhatsApp number in the chat box as well, and all those who are going to watch the recorded videos, they may connect with me through the WhatsApp for any question and query related to that particular topic. Okay, so thank you everyone for the patience learning. We'll meet you soon in any other webinar, any other session. Thank you everyone.